Today I visited Eduardo El Gelato Biologico near the Duomo in Florence to see whether it would pass what we're calling the Nonna test. Most people visiting Florence probably expect the most authentic food experiences to be hidden in small streets far away from tourist attractions. Honestly, I thought the same thing. So when I decided to do my Nonna test project at Eduardo El Gelato Biologico, located directly next to the Duomo, I was already skeptical. Every single time I walk past this place, there is a line wrapping outside the door with tourists taking pictures and waiting for gelato. Because of that, I assumed it might be another overrated tourist stop pretending to be authentic Italian culture. But after actually visiting and paying attention to the details, I realized that this place represents something much more interesting about Italian food culture. Authenticity is not always about being hidden or unpopular. Sometimes it is about the quality, tradition, and the way the food is treated, even in the middle of one of the busiest tourist areas in Florence. The atmosphere inside felt clean, simple, and relaxed. It did not feel flashy or overly commercialized like some tourist-focused places do. Instead of giant decorations or bright, colorful displays trying to attract attention, the focus seemed to stay on the quality of the gelato itself. I also noticed that while I was there, I could hear both Italian and American people speaking nearby. That stood out to me because it showed that the shop attracts both locals and tourists. In many tourist-heavy areas, businesses often lose some authenticity because they focus almost completely on visitors. But this place still felt connected to the local Italian culture, even though it was famous and very popular. For my gelato flavor, I chose strawberry, and it was honestly one of the best gelatos I've had in Florence so far. The flavor tasted extremely fresh and natural instead of overly sweet and artificial. It actually tasted like real strawberries instead of candy flavoring. The simplicity of the flavor made it feel much more authentic because Italian food culture often emphasizes high-quality ingredients and natural flavors rather than trying to overload food with sugar and artificial ingredients. One detail that especially made this place feel authentic was the way that the gelato was stored and displayed. Instead of being piled into giant, colorful mountains like many tourist-focused gelato shops, the gelato here was stored inside covered metal containers. At first, this surprised me because you could not fully see the flavors. However, after learning more about authentic Italian gelato culture, I realized that this is often a sign of higher quality gelato. The metal containers help maintain the proper temperature and freshness of the gelato instead of focusing mostly on the appearance. This detail made this place feel much less like a tourist trap and much more connected to traditional Italian food values. Many tourist-oriented gelato shops try to attract customers with huge, bright, colorful displays that look impressive in pictures but are often lower quality and filled with artificial ingredients or extra air. In contrast, Eduardo El Gelato Biologico seemed much more focused on craftsmanship, freshness, and authenticity than visual presentation. I think this reflects an important part of Italian culture because Italian food traditions often prioritize quality and simplicity over flashy appearances. Another thing I noticed was how the shop fit into everyday life in Florence. Even though it is located in one of the busiest tourist areas in the city, people still casually stopped in for gelato while walking around the Duomo area. Watching this helped me realize that gelato in Italy is not just a dessert for tourists. It is actually a part of everyday Italian culture and social life. People use places like this to take a break, walk around the city, socialize with friends, and enjoy quality food in a slower and more relaxed way. Before coming to Florence, I honestly thought of gelato mostly as a fun tourist activity. However, after visiting this shop, I realized that there is so much more culture importance behind it. Authentic gelato reflects values that are important in Italian culture, including quality ingredients, craftsmanship, simplicity, and tradition. Overall, my final verdict is that Eduardo El Gelato Biologico is definitely approved by Nonna. Even though it is located in a tourist-heavy area and often has huge lines, the focus on authentic ingredients, artisanal preparation, freshness, and simplicity helped it feel genuine instead of commercialized. This experience changed my perspective on Italian gelato culture and helped me better understand how strongly Italian traditions value quality and authenticity in food.